Well, hey everybody. Phil slash wow, Phil slash Polygon here. Welcome to episode 22 of the channel. 22. That's right. Episode numbers have returned. Why, you might ask? Actually, no. I don't want to get into why. I don't want to take my first tangent, not even 15 odd seconds into the commentary. That got me in a little trouble last night. So I'll be transparent. I will say this is my second take on this commentary. I sat down last night and tried to lay one down and just hated the thing. It was awful. It was just rambly and scrambly, and I just really struggled to chain anything of interest together. Just hated the thing. I still don't know if I'm going to be able to chain anything of interest together, but let's find out. And I thought, you know, it's been a while since I've posted. Sorry about that. You deserve better. And you do deserve better, so let's do better. Let's talk more Dark Souls PvP. And on that note, I'm here just kind of bumming around in Sin's Fortress with my Darth Onion build. I showcased this thing a couple episodes back. It's a level 46 invasion build. It uses elemental weapons, just kind of a goof around build. And for most of these clips, I am rocking my formidable +7 fire rapier for a whopping 82 points of damage on average per poke. So not a whole lot of destruction to come. And actually in a lot of these clips, I may be knocking on the door of trolling. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about what I think is the difference between trolling and griefing. I went on at great length in the last post about griefing. And I thought it'd be a fun opportunity to do another grab bag episode because I've been just kind of goofing around a lot lately. I have actually not been out for months in the air quote legit 120 PvP scene. I have been doing a whole lot of low level stuff, a whole lot of mid level stuff. I think level 75, 76 is the highest I've been out lately. And in that time, it seems like there are some trends that I wanted to float by you guys and get some feedback on and just kind of share some observations as the game slowly comes to a close. I can assume these are the waning moments of the game's life because I got a nagging suspicion this place is going to turn into a ghost town in the very near future, man. We are weeks away from the release of Dark Souls 2. So yeah, I've got a hunch there's going to be some tumbleweeds blown across Lordran for the next little bit. Maybe there'll be a resurgence. I've got some conspiracy theories about that that I might float out there. And like I said, second take, I shall do better. I'll do my best at least to do better. We'll see where it goes. Here we go. Okay, so maybe we'll come back down the road and talk about episode numbers. I've got a feeling people are thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? And I do feel like I need to explain it. So, spoiler alert, there's a riveting topic to come. Talking episode numbers. Right. So, hey, let me kick this off with a quick little thanks and hello and what is up to anybody new to the channel. I actually made a recent showing on one of Sunlight Blade's top 10 countdowns. It was a couple of them ago. He's posted another one since I've gotten this video out. Slow me. But I made a respectable showing on his top 10 gank spanks, respectable for one such as I, at least at number 10 with this build actually. So to anybody that caught that and came over and just left a comment, gave a thumbs up, thumbs down, checked out some videos, checked out the channel, thank you so much. Welcome. And thank you so much to Sunlight Blade for the little featurette. That was absolutely awesome. And thank you so much and welcome back to longtime friends of the channel. All right, let's go. Random topic the first. We'll start it off with some context. So like I said in the head of the show, it has been a long time. I would say weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months, since I've been out doing the 120 PvP thing. I have not been hanging out in the township. I've not been hanging out in the Burg or the Butterfly Forest or Sif's Forest or anything like that. You know, doing the whole hosting, setup matches, 120 PvP scene. Which I think is kind of interesting because, I mean, I started off this channel as a duelist. If you go back and look at the early videos, that is all I wanted to do and all I was interested in and just constructively narrated on and on and on about the merits of dueling and fuck these guys that don't want to duel and scummy tactics and all that kind of thing. And recently I've been doing nothing but random invasions, mostly as a Dark Wraith, sometimes as a Dark Moon, but all random invasions and all fairly low level too, like between 40 and 70 would be the top. So a lot of unbaked builds, a lot of elemental weapons and stuff like that. I've had no beef recently going out with dex builds with 28 dex and like a +13 weapon, so you don't even get the freaking S scaling and stuff like that. So I've had a lot of defeats of late, but it's been just kind of a fun goofing around type experience just to see what has transpired, I guess, or what is transpiring in the weeks as Dark Souls kind of comes to a close. And what I've noticed are some trends with like the types of people still playing this game. And it seems like, let me know what you think about this too. Like, has this been your experience as well? It seems like there are 3 types of people who are still playing this game. One, the legitimately new people, because the game keeps going on sale on Steam. You can pick it up pretty cheap. If you're on Xbox, you can get it in the Xbox Marketplace on sale for $7 or $8 every now and again. You can probably pick it up pretty cheap on the PS3 too. Though aside, you have to pick up a disc on the PS3. I hate physical media. It kills me that I have to put a disc into my PS3 every time I want to play Dark Souls on the PS3. That is lame. That's just a personal hang up though. But so it's been on sale a lot. So there are a decent amount of new people coming to the game, maybe motivated by hype from Dark Souls 2. Maybe they've just waited to check it out. Who knows? But I've run into a lot of new guys, legitimately new guys, and you can usually tell they're new by kind of the way they move. I might talk about that a little bit down the road too, in terms of parrying. You can tell a lot about a player by the way that he parries. So close call, Tarkus. So there's those guys. Then there's also a lot of vets that I run into who are sort of long-time players of the game. They're very familiar with the game, and they're just kind of out goofing around. They're just kind of out goofballing with really unorthodox weapon combinations, really creative builds. And it seems like these guys are just kind of out having fun. Maybe they've had the full Dark Souls experience or whatnot. They're just kind of playing in the remaining weeks of the game, trying to get their last little pile of jollies and things like that before moving on to Dark Souls 2, which I think is pretty cool and hilarious. And I do run into a decent handful of those guys as well. But what I've really noticed is of late, the tryhards seem to be out in force. I'll talk about kind of my definition of a tryhard, but I mean, these are the guys that are just stacking poise, using every tactic possible just to win. And they say, I don't know if I'm just hypersensitive to it lately because I've been out with some more fragile builds, like sort of these lower level builds. So, it's not unusual that I get one-shotted or two-shotted or something like that. So maybe I'm just noticing it more than I ever really have. But it does seem like there's a high concentration of tryhards out there lurking in Lordran of late. That was too much alliteration. And that may have sounded like a criticism regarding the tryhard thing, and it wasn't my intent to criticize at all. I just bring it up because it seems to be a very clear faction of people who are still playing the game. All 3 of these groups do. And I'm primarily talking about people that you randomly come across, not, set up matches with friends and things like that. Because I've been out of, like I said, I've been out of that for a little bit. So people you randomly come across seem to all of a sudden just fall into one of these groups. Maybe those groups have always been there and I'm just hyper dense and just finally realizing it, 3 weeks before moving on to the sequel. And it's kind of like, oh, that's the group structure. That's the social structure of Dark Souls random PvP. But I don't know, I just think it's kind of interesting, and I think it makes sense that people are kind of divided into these groups in the waning moments of the game too, right? Because the new guys, there's not really a tough puzzle to decipher there. They're just flat out new. And these are people who are probably not volunteering for PvP. These are probably people that you invade and still rocking a Drake sword 3 weeks before the game dies. And they're just getting the full welcome to Dark Souls, bitch experience. So, cool. Welcome. Vets too, these are guys that have probably been playing for a really long time and know the game backwards and forwards. They know all the weapons backwards and forwards. And they're just trying to be really creative and put together really strange gear combinations to challenge themselves and probably just wring some last drops of blood from that stone for enjoyment because you just love the shit out of this game and you want to keep playing it, and this is what you're doing to do so. Cool. And then even the tryhards too, because this is the one that I'm kind of most interested in. And I think it makes sense because, so 2 things. Dark Souls is such a deep pool. There are, like those vets, so many people that have been playing this game for so long and are so good and will just randomly destroy you, or at least me. And you want to be competitive against that. And then also, Ah, thanks for the dingy hood. But I mean, the world is getting smaller. That's just kind of the reality of the situation. There's not as many people playing the game. Invasions are a little less frequent. Red summon signs are a little less frequent when you're just kind of going out random. And so if you're running across people that are really good, who have been playing the game for a long time, and you're running across people in general less frequently than you used to, nobody's goal is to go out there and just get beaten to a pulp every single time. At least I don't think. So yeah, you're going to try really fucking hard. I'm just kind of rationalizing this. I'm not saying you as in the listener, but just one. One is going to go out there and try really hard. You kind of have to make every fight count because you're not having as many of them as you used to or as you were able to once upon a time. And there are definitely gear combinations and weapon combinations and things like that that can make you more competitive than others. I would say poise is kind of the fast track to survivability because you can do all kinds of crazy crap with poise that you can't with high poise than you can with low poise. The poise BS is a great example. I would say pyro spam is another one. Like if you are just spamming great combustion, it doesn't automatically make you a tryhard. But I mean, good God, that thing has the most baffling hitbox in the game. I am always just, you know, looking skyward when I get great combustion from, you know, 10 paces away when the guy's looking the other way just because of latency and just, I don't know, it's weird. But I mean, that kind of stuff can just instantly make you, give you a better chance of survival. And so I should probably define what I'm talking about with tryhard because I've been using that word a lot. And I've been talking about gear, and actually, in my opinion, I don't think a tryhard has anything to do with gear. It comes down to one thing, and that is you are trying to do nothing, absolutely nothing, except win. You have no goal of improvement. You're not trying to learn spacing or master a new weapon or work on toggle escapes or any of the million facets that come into play with Dark Souls PvP. You don't care about any of it. You are just trying to kill the other guy and get the W. That was my impression of a high school football coach. Get the W. And so, I mean, that's what makes a tryhard. It actually has nothing to do with gear. There are definitely gear combinations that can make it easy for you if you are a tryhard. And again, I'm rationalizing, I'm speaking hypothetically. Not you as in you, but you as in one. So, I mean, that's what I think a tryhard is. You're working on nothing. You're trying to improve on nothing. Your only goal is to win. Okay, I'm going to move on from that because I'm actually feeling pretty self-conscious about it. I know I called out some really beloved things about Dark Souls PvP, and I can kind of smell the backlash already. And actually, I have no idea what backlash smells like. What does backlash really smell like, I wonder? But I am absolutely not saying that everybody that uses a claymore and a grass-crest shield and pyromancy is a tryhard. This guy's not a tryhard, for the record. It just happened to come up while I was talking about this. But if you know somebody who is, you know, trying to do absolutely nothing except win. They're not trying to improve. They're not trying to do anything else. Feel free to tell them that Polly thinks they're a tryhard. Sorry. Let's move on. I'm about to segue. Ready? So, on the topic of this is what X means to me, I wanted to throw out some thoughts on what I think trolling is versus griefing too, because on the last video I talked extensively about griefing. I was just kind of hanging out in the parish at level 20, seeing what came through, and it was almost exclusively griefers. And actually, I think this is important, at least for context, because I feel like tryhard and griefer and troll and things like that get thrown around a lot as terms, and there's not always a whole lot of explanation behind them. They probably mean different things to different people. So if nothing else, this is what they mean to me. So I think a griefer is a subclass of a tryhard. They're not trying to do anything except kill other players as quickly as possible. They'll take over-leveled gear into notoriously under-leveled or new areas like the parish or things like that, and just try to destroy other people. And they're not working on anything. They're just relying on their gear to rack up wins, to stack up humanity. Trolling, I think, is totally different. You are not solely concerned with destroying the other person. It has a comedic element to it. The goal is to kind of harass, for better or worse, the other player and provide some sort of entertainment value. Definitely for you, hopefully for the other guy, because you've outfitted yourself in some ridiculous fashion, You are probably using something stupid, if not a fist. But like the goal is ridiculousness. The goal is not to go out there and chest thump when you've won. Trolls might be okay with losing. If you as the on the receiving end are finally able to maybe fight through the annoyance and vanquish their evil spirits back to their own world, banish them home, maybe that's okay to a troll, where it is absolutely not to a griefer and the larger class of tryhards. Losing is the absolute worst thing that can possibly happen to a tryhard, which is kind of what makes them a tryhard in the very first place. So just for context, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about trolls, when I'm talking about griefers, when I'm talking about tryhards. So I realize I have utterly neglected most of these clips and just kind of went on through the duration of these things. But I did want to comment on this last invasion because I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I really like invasions that have sort of a cat and mouse element. I saw these two guys run into the tower. I'm kind of assuming there's a third. They're obviously laying a trap for me. And I cut out about 5 minutes of waiting around that corner until I finally just said, fuck it. We'll go in and come what may. I'm going to go in there like a hurricane and try and just rout them from this tower. Let's see what happens. So I'll let this play out, and in the meantime, touch on episode numbers. We are here at last. So just quickly, nobody really cares either way, but I care. And if you'll recall, a couple episodes back, I had the terrible idea to get rid of episode numbers, and I'm retracting that after only one, because even though these things are not serial by any means, they're very episodic. It's not like this one builds on the last one, builds on the last one, all the way back to episode 1. There's no overarching story. But I really do like the chronology of the episode numbers. I like being able to, at a glance, know that this happened later than some other video or something like that without having to mess around with looking at the published date. That is just too much work. It seems like people don't really pay attention to published dates anyways. So having the episode number in the title gives sort of an extra layer of chronology. That's why I'm bringing them back. Done. All right, I gotta go. And I actually have a lot to do before Dark Souls 2 comes out. I got my Purist Guide to finish. I got more of these to make. So I will step it up. I will do my best to step it up at least. And thank you so much as always. New people, familiar people, all people. Thanks for checking things out. We'll see you next time.